Good evening, everyone. Oh, welcome to. Got a crazy dog here and sniffles. Sorry. Welcome to the Eureka Conservative Podcast with me and my boy JJ, my co-host. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I had the episode. you can't see this, but my dog has just snuck right down on between my feet. Ah, goodness me. Anyway, so if it wasn't for pets, we certainly wouldn't be having. Oh, sorry, guys.
I've got an important message coming through. So I'm just going to make sure I keep, that wasn't an important message. So yeah, if it wasn't for pets in this crazy world, I think we wouldn't get much of a laugh or entertainment. Even our movies, I was going through, I've got a subscription for Netflix and Prime. And seriously, the woke rubbish that you get on those channels these days, if anyone's got a recommendation for a good subscription service for movies, I'd love to hear from you. Just let me know. But yeah, those two aren't great. I am going to explore a few others, but I've got a funny feeling most of them might be exactly the same. But yeah, there's some good films on there, but there's also some rubbish. And Netflix is all foreign films, and they're putting films up that you're paying for that go back to the 50s and 60s. For someone my age, I've already seen them. I want to see something new and be entertained and not be lectured. So anyway, that's what they get. So anyway, welcome to the Eureka Conservative Podcast. If my voice sounds a bit croaky, I'm still getting over this cold I had last week. So forgive me for that. But we'll battle on. I haven't got any this week. We haven't done it for a few weeks. I'll try and get it done. There's no policy ideas or announcements. It's been an unbelievable week in politics, both internationally, federally, and state. So today we're going to focus on those. And, they say a week is a long time in politics. Well, this week is a rock-solid proof of that, especially internationally. So if any of you have followed me on my other live streams during the week, which I put up from time to time, you would know I'm a person who has been all in on Trump ever since he went down the escalator. So before he even became president, I won a couple of wagers saying that he would win that 2016 election, only because I sense, which I still sense now, that everyday electors, both here and in England and in America, they're sick of the historical politics as it is. They're looking for something better, and they're still struggling to find it. And we all thought Trump was probably the answer. That's what I thought in 2015, and won me a lot of money. And I've been right behind him ever since, through all the bullshit the media put him through, the courts put him through, the Democrats put him through, some rhinos put him through, what the rioters put him through. I stood by Trump. I loved everything about his presidency. But, I'm pretty black and white. And one thing with me, I've had a couple of businesses and sports associations and people just with ill intent who've thrown me and others under the bus and destroyed those businesses and sports clubs. Don't know why they do it. It's in human nature. Some people just get off on it. And so I'm a very black and white person. And they say with Trump, loyalty means a lot to him. Well, multiply that by 10 with me, okay? So when Trump gave his word to those Iranian protesters that he'd have their back, and now he signed off on a deal that throws them under the bus, I'm sorry, I can't cop that. The only way this ends with any sort of clarity, and look, I understand all those people that don't want the never-ending wars, no boots on the ground, all that sort of thing. But when you start he started a war. I mean, everyone's calling it everything but. They're tiptoeing around it. It was a war. They didn't have boots on the ground, but they bombed the absolute shit out of Iran. Once you go that far and you give your word to Iranian protesters to have their back, and then they go out and protest and get slaughtered, like the numbers coming out is 45,000 Iranian citizens were slaughtered in 2 days, and then a whole bunch of them were hung in the coming weeks for taking part in these protests. Just young kids. They could have been your son, your daughter. The Iranian regime is evil. And I'll come to the Israeli question in a minute. The Iranian regime is evil. It has been evil for a long time. It has a long track record. And the Ayatollah that they wiped out, and even though If you know anything about the way the Iranian power structure is set up, it's divided into 12 regions. A lot of that is under the control of the IRGC, which is different from the administration and the Ayatollahs, which is the faith-based part. And they did it that way so if America or Israel ever took out one region, the other 11 regions would be there with their command and control structures. Pretty smart, really. So even if you've got people saying they're speaking on behalf of Iran, they're actually not. They say they are speaking on behalf of Iran, but there could be 6 of those 12 regions that say, no, screw this, we're not following through. He's finally got up on the couch. So it's a very hard thing to be negotiating. The only way to beat Iran is to beat Iran. Like, defeat them unconditionally, wipe them out. Everybody keeps talking about the never-ending wars. Well, the reason there's never-ending wars is because for some reason Western society since World War II doesn't fight the wars out. It doesn't go in there with the intent of wiping out its enemy. It didn't do it in Vietnam. It didn't do it in Korea, even though Douglas MacArthur wanted to do exactly that, but he got sacked because that's what he said. They didn't do it in Iraq. They didn't do it in Afghanistan, and now they're not doing it in Iran. I mean, if you're going to start shit, finish it. Finish it. And especially when you're encouraging citizens there, and we did this disgracefully in Afghanistan. When I say we, the Americans, but Australia was part of that. But in Afghanistan, if you remember the withdrawal and the Biden, how many people did they left there to face a horrible death at the hands of the Taliban? People that worked, and, there's a lot of Afghanistan people that were pretty evil sort of guys that embedded themselves in Allied forces and then turned against them and killed our troops and American troops and other troops. But there was also decent Afghanistan citizens who risked everything to work with the Allied troops in Afghanistan to try and establish some sort of democracy. But Biden and Trump both pulled them out and both left them to their own devices. And God knows how many got killed on that. You can't, this is an Australian value. Like, I was taught this when I was a kid at footy. You've got your mates. It doesn't matter what politics they've got. We got taught this through our footy clubs, our cricket clubs. You never dob on a mate. You stand by a mate. If your mate gets in trouble, you support them. And one thing you never do is you never desert them in the middle of a fight. We had that driven into us by our parents who went through that in World War II and the Depression. Toughest generation ever. They would never leave a mate. And yet in Afghanistan, that's exactly what we did. If they're going to put their lives on the line to help you fight that war and then you leave them behind, should have finished the fight, number one, if you're going to go in there. And God knows what they were doing for 20 years. Don't tell me America's not a big enough superpower to take out the Taliban. That to me was like we're going to be there and try and win hearts and minds, but you got to defeat the enemy first. And even in Iraq, they pulled out. Yeah, I have a differing view, and I don't think I was in the end, both in Iran and even in Afghanistan, we went into those wars in the end for the wrong reasons. But if you're going to go in, you've got to finish it. And you've got to give the army, the generals, the military leadership, the tools and the resources to finish that war. And I don't believe we ever did give our troops, whether they're Australian, American or whatever, the tools to finish those wars. And here we go again. The Yanks lead us into a war in Iran. And I was all for it. As soon as Trump said, we've got your back to those Iranians, well, good. This is not like Afghanistan and Iraq. You've got a citizenship that wants to topple their regime with good reason. So if you're going to start it, back it up. I'm shutting my eyes at the moment, and with J.D. Vance and Trump, all I hear is Tucker Carlson and his woke right mob. They've infiltrated the White House. And I just think it's disgraceful. You shouldn't have started it if this is where you were going to go. The only country winning out of this, the only regime, shouldn't say country, winning out of this is Iran. And the only one left standing against them is the favourite whipping boy of so many, and that's Israel. So we had the embarrassment of JD fans sitting around a table with Qatar, with Pakistan, and Iran. 3 of the worst Islamic states with some of the worst human rights violations, where a 70-year-old man can marry a 9-year-old girl, for example, in Pakistan and get them pregnant, where they've exported the Pakistani rape gangs to the UK, where you've got Iran sponsoring Hezbollah, Hamas, and God knows how many other terrorist groups who are trying to develop a nuclear arsenal to fight. You know, they had ballistic missiles that could reach Europe. And then you're dealing with Qatar and everyone, all the hypocrites out there talking about the Israeli lobby groups like AIPAC in America and the ones we hear, and you hear it from our, politicians like Jared Rennick, for example, Senator Babat, all the Groiper grandpas going on about the Israeli lobby groups. What about the Qatar lobby groups? Look at how much money they're pouring into politics in the US, how much influence they carry with their politicians, with the political parties, with their donations, with the campaigns, what money they put into the universities over there. God knows what they're doing here, but I think America is their big target. How much money are they putting into influencers? Don't tell me that they haven't bought Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens. The Young Turks, Cenk Fatboy, Yuga, Anna Kasparian, the vile demonic bitch she is. I'm going to have people come up against me. I had a very interesting thing and a shout out to him, Real Rukshan. We got in a bit of a tit for tat the other day. Rukshan, here I am. I'm having a go at the people that would have a go at you. So please don't ever, Rukshan, try and compare me to them like you did in one of your tweets last week. I will explain what I mean by Heritage Australians later on, but you seem to have misinterpreted my words. It doesn't matter. I respect the work you've done. I respect you. And as I've invited you, and you said you would do, you're more than welcome to come on this podcast anytime, and we can have a discussion about it. And I think we'll agree on far more than we disagree. All right? So, yeah, you've got all these ones. Don't tell me they're not. The Qatar money is not financing these people. Of course it is. And there'd be other influences that they finance. That's part of now the propaganda war. Well, I love Elon Musk, but, how much of the messaging on X now is not free speech, but it's pure propaganda. So what I mean by that, and I don't care where it comes from, could be Israel, could be Qatar, could be UAE, could be Iran, but we get all the bots and we get all these paid influencers to push a message that they may not even believe in. Well, that's not free speech. That's paid speech. So you hear there's a lot of people here in Australia talking about all the lobby groups. There was a list brought out this week of the most influential lobby groups in America. Israel came 10th. Qatar was top of the list. So you've got Qatar, Pakistan, and Iran, and they're all talking about Lebanon and Hezbollah and Israel. So the two combatants, Israel and Hezbollah, aren't sitting around the table, and the country where that fight is happening, the Lebanon government that actually wants Hezbollah out of their country, hasn't got a seat at the table. How does any of that make sense? So for the first time since 2015, I've had a really good reason now to pause and not only question Trump and JD Vance, but actually to oppose them on this. What they've done here is wrong. And I know I'll be in a minority. I don't really particularly care. What they've done is wrong. They should never have started this war. Trump should never have encouraged it. He should never have given the language out through this whole time. And this isn't 4D chess. This is a capitulation to Iran. He had Iran on its knees. And then he had the ceasefires. And then he did all his talk about the Strait of Hormuz. And then he had more ceasefires. And it was just talk, and it was, I've seen, like with Tucker Carlson, I've actually seen the other side with Trump, and it's actually not good. It's devastating actually to watch it, because I now see what many on the left have seen. Now, does that mean I've lost faith in Trump? Not entirely. I hope he can pull it back. But if he doesn't pull it back, and this is all about the midterms, this is all about the elections and oil and their economy. Sorry, he's lost me. He's encouraged 45,000 people to go and protest, who then lost their lives. And apparently now, so this is not the big Israel thing for me. I'll get on to Israel in a minute. But 45,000 Iranians lost their lives because he and others encouraged them to rise up against their government. And now he's throwing those very same citizens under the bus to live for what? Decades with the same Iranian regime? They're magically going to change? I mean, seriously, I've got a block of land to sell you. Maybe JD Vance can come and buy that off me. It's the whole thing is insane, and the fact that the media aren't coming out harder at it. I mean, there's been some voices that are talking against this, but I'm surprised they're not. I'll tell you what will happen. Now, I want to wager on Trump winning the presidency. I reckon I could win some wagers on this. I think, and Ben from Australian Talk said this for different reasons. I actually now think Trump has made too many enemies on both sides of the aisle. If he loses the midterms, which I think is now nearly an absolute certainty, because conservatives, MAGAs like me, they don't like this. They're not going to come out and back him in November. He's going to lose the midterms. And when he loses the midterms and he loses the majority in the Congress and probably the Senate, he'll be impeached. And that's when the woke right will strike. They don't want to go to an election. If Trump gets impeached, the vice president becomes president. We will have a J.D. Vance presidency for over 2 years in that White House. And if you have a J.D. Vance presidency, Tucker Carlson will become a part of that administration, along with some other lunatics like Marjorie Taylor Greene. The world will go into a very, very dangerous place. You're going to have Islamic influence within the White House. Everyone is America first. If you think that's an America first situation, you've got rocks in your head. Tucker Carlson is not America first. Anybody pushing any of the Islamic lines and tropes that he's been pushing is Islamic first. Is that what being America first is all about? Ben made another comment, and shout out to Ben from Australian Talk. He's been over there, and he's a bit into the Groyper movement. And they're probably going to be ecstatic about this because, they want the independents like Thomas Massey, who, again, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not America first. Thomas Massey is not America first. They're cowards. Marjorie Taylor Greene is all about Marjorie Taylor Greene, full stop. She abused their taxpayers' dollars to stay in their Congress long enough so she gets this cushy pension payment for the rest of her life. Thomas Massey is a person who says he's a Republican, but then votes against nearly every Republican initiative in the Senate. So hardly America first, he's Democrat first. But everyone are pushing these two as the solution. I don't think that'll be it anyway. I think Tucker Carlson's more ambitious than that, and he'll use J.D. Vance as a Manchurian candidate for 2 years. And if Tucker Carlson can get a sniff of winning a presidential race, he'll go for it. He's a very manipulative, evil, deceitful man. And anyone falling for his bullshit, sorry, you're a fool. If you can't see through Carlson, if you can't see through now J.D. Vance, if you can't see through what's going on, the Trump administration is going to get tainted by this. Trump will, after the midterms, be a lame duck president if he's not already. And I would be very surprised if he doesn't have people in his cabinet pretty furious about this. They're not going to go and backstab him. But I would be totally surprised if Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio were not furiously, and General Kane were not furiously against this MOU. They'll toe the line for now because they're loyal guys. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes. When America sneezes, we get it cold. So we should be concerned. It was interesting. I had, I'll tell you, and what actually is annoying me too is you've got the woke right, but now I'm seeing another side to the media that has been supporting Trump. So Jesse Waters, for example, I think was really good, incredibly funny. But even before this MOU, Jesse Waters has become a blowhard for the Trump administration. I mean, if you want a propaganda arm within the mainstream media, which we used to complain about with the mainstream media about the Biden administration, well, Jesse Waters, all he does is Trump White House propaganda. He's not there to give a transparent overview of the news. I've never heard him say anything critical of Trump, and that's continued again today, where I could not believe what I heard. And I know a lot of you groypers that are anti-Jewish are not going to take this too seriously, but if you're a fair person, a fair-minded person, where he actually said not once this week but twice, raised the Jewish question. Now, if you know your history, you'll know how offensive that is. The Jewish question was what the Nazis met and came up with before the final solution. The final solution was the answer to the Jewish question, which led to the Holocaust. Now, I mean, you got people now in the media saying that shit. Well, bloody hell. So anyway, I know I'll cop flack for that. I don't really particularly care. You've got to say what you believe to be the truth. And don't tell me Jesse Waters isn't smart enough to do it. So I'm getting a bit concerned about a lot of influencers now. So this is not even the Tucker Carlson's one. And I'll give you an example. There's a guy on, I'll share it. Let's see if I can get this up. I can. I'll just show you this on my notifications. There's a guy called Michael Knowles. Now, he works bizarrely with, closely with, what's his name? Oh, my God, I can't remember. Ben Shapiro. I've got to find the notification. Here we go, this one. So it's getting a few likes. So this is Michael Knowles. I'll give you a listen to it. He's an influencer, works with Ben Shapiro, has his own show, and he's a guy, I'll give you a listen to him in a minute. He's a guy that, sorry, I'm just trying to produce it, guys. He's a guy, oh, wrong one. That's probably better. He's a guy that he says he was a friend of Charlie Kirk. He speaks out about the treatment of Eureka Kirk, but he never calls out, for example, and of people like Ben Shapiro and all that. He never calls out people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all that. So, I mean, I don't see how you can speak out in defense of Eureka Kirk without not calling out the people that spit the most hate about her. In my opinion, he's gutless. He talks fancy words, very fancy words. He can actually make a decent argument, and he should be an influencer who can call these people out. Call out Megyn Kelly, call out Candace Owens, call out Tucker Carlson. He says it is the right, but as you would see in his post here, I'm just pointing out while the right does, I'll see if I can get this up. I'm just pointing out while the right does all this infighting, the left is waiting for the right to destroy itself so they can bring back transing kids, radical politics, government suppression. I'm imploring the American right, please keep some perspective. Now, he's talking to assholes like Tucker Carlson.
So you got the Never Trumpers going after Vance. So you got the Never Trumpers going after Vance. You've got a bunch of podcasts.
Well, it's not just the Never Trumpers. You know, it's people that have been in America and in Australia, people have been loyal to Trump who've now turned on him
after Trump because they're complaining about Iran or whatever other policy. You've got I'm not even saying these are minor issues. You know, the right always has factional disputes. I'm just pointing out, while the right is doing all of this infighting and to some degree a lot of navel gazing, settling personal petty grudges in some cases, well.
So he never comes out and says who is actually engaging in the petty grudges. It's pretty obvious if you've been anybody, if you're like me and you followed American politics for any length of time in the last 12 months, it's pretty obvious who's peddling the petty grudges.
That's going on. The left is waiting. The left is waiting to bring this back. The left is waiting for the right to destroy itself so that they can bring back transing your kids. That's what this is about. This Father's Day, just remember, we want to trans your kids. So says the New York Times. Is just waiting to bring back all of the racial politics of 2020, is just waiting to bring back all of the heavy-handed government suppression of 2020, 2021. Waiting to...
And he is right. And this is what I had to go at Ben from Australian Talks the other day, because, you know, he's a big supporter of Nick Fuentes, who said he's going to vote Democrat. You've got Tucker Carlson walking away from the Republican Party. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey. So a lot of these are actually going to, you can see the writing on the wall. They're either going to join the Democrat Party or start a party of their own, which is as good as joining the Democrat Party, because they're going to take votes away from the next person who stands for the Republicans at the next presidential election, and the Democrats will win. So we'll be back where we were in America with someone like Biden, if not worse, as their president.
I'm not saying the right needs to sit down and shut up. I'm just saying that as the right works out all...
What is he saying?
All of its problems in the lead up to the primary for 2028, what happens after Trump. As that happens, I am imploring the American right. Please keep...
Again, he won't say who he's talking to.
Some perspective. Your enemy is not some podcaster.
Yes, it is. The enemy is the wolf in sheep's clothing. Also, is Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey. These are like the Labor light moderates in the Liberal Party who've destroyed that party. The Republicans have at least had the good sense to purge a number.
It's not your chief threat. Your enemy is not J.D. Vance.
Yes, it is.
Marco Rubio.
No, it's not. Marco Rubio should be the next candidate for the presidency from the Republican side.
Ron DeSantis, or Ted Cruz, or Rand Paul, or this guy or that guy or this guy. Anyone who might run for president.
Notice how he never mentions Tucker
This
Carlson.
Is your enemy. This is the threat. These are the people who want to castrate your kids. These are the people who want to fling open the border. These are the people who want to take control of your life. That's the threat. And that threat is crouching in the corner, waiting to pounce on you while you play fiddle on the Titanic. So you got the...
Overall, he's right. He's absolutely right. But if you're going to be critical, you've got to call out the people that are engaging in these vendettas. And I've pointed them out already. A bunch of others you can put in there, the Hodge twins, all that. Just look up the woke right. They're pretty obvious. But yeah, he won't call them out. Now, to me, that's pretty gutless. I'm calling him out here right now for being gutless. He doesn't want to call out Tucker Carlson because he doesn't want Tucker Carlson coming for his throat. He doesn't want to call out Candace Owens, despite what you said about Erica Kurt, the wife of his assassinated friend. He doesn't want to call out anyone attacking the people and his colleagues that he's working with, such as Ben Shapiro. He's pretty gutless, and he's been doing this. Has been really increasingly annoying me that he won't call them out. If you lost Tucker Carlson and all that, it's a good thing that Tucker Carlson's walked out of the Republican Party in MAGA. Good. He's not MAGA. He's not Republican. He's a socialist. Let him go where he naturally fits, which is with the Democrats. Now, he's probably worse than the Democrats, actually. But at least have the courage to call it out. Now, why do I raise this guy? Well, I put a comment on this thread. So I've actually called him out. The people that are the gutless influencers who won't call out the like of Tucker, Candace, and Megyn are influencers like yourself. I missed that. I did type that early this morning. But here's the thing. I'm just a little old person in Australia. I've made a comment. I've hit a nerve. Michael Knowles, he cut back at me. Now, this is no This person's got 1.4 million followers. I've got just over 11,000. So what's he do? He shares the details of where I come from. So I'm actually not even too sure why he's doing that. So, date join, big deal. Yeah, that's me. Account based in Australia. Yeah, that's right. Verified. So I'm being verified. And, connected with an Australian app store. So I think he's trying, and I've put a reply in here, he's trying to say I'm some sort of bot. It's either that or that I have no right to have an opinion about United States politics. Now, that's really interesting. So in my reply, not sure what your point is. Just because I'm from Australia, I can't have an opinion on your politics. Is that it? If so, that's a bit rich from a country infested with influencers, politicians, and celebrities who have a never-ending input into other countries' issues and politics. We don't complain when Trump or JD Vance or Elon Musk comments on politics in Europe, in the UK, in Australia. In fact, we applaud it. We want conservatives from around the globe to look at what's going on in our country, just like we want to look. I want a conservative administration in America. It's going to make the world a better place. Then I said, are you implying I'm a bot? Look up the definition of what a bot is. You can certainly pretty quickly figure out who's a bot. Just check their feed. I post every day, multiple times a day. I've got 11,400 followers. I put opinions, I put up videos, I put up podcasts. I'm obviously not a bloody bot. But what actually gets me is, and this is what I think I did, or did I just simply hit a nerve? Americans are supposed to be pretty strong people. And I have admired a lot of the Americans over the journey, but increasingly I'm getting, I don't know what the word is, disenchanted with a lot of it. It's very similar to what we've got here in Australia, where we're disenchanted with our politics. And people are now looking for alternatives. Trump is going to lose the midterms. His polls, and I never thought I'd say this before this MOU, I thought Trump was going to, with all his ceasefires, I just thought he was looking for an excuse to finish this thing. And that's what he should have done. But, he led us along a garden path. And this isn't Trump playing 4D chess. This is Trump backflipping. He went into this with all his boisterous confidence, everything that we loved about him, a lot of his narcissism. And now that narcissism and confidence looks a lot different. A lot. So, it's just reinforced in my head. You cannot trust any politician. We all put our trust in our politician. In Australia, a lot of us are putting our trust in Pauline Hanson. But we've got to judge them more on their actions. And as the old saying goes, keep their feet to the fire. You've got to make sure whoever gets in power after our next state and federal election, we've got to make sure that they actually represent Australian values and keep doing that. And the moment they steer clear of that, we have got to jump all over them. I'll come to something that we're doing later on, which I announced last week, but I'll put it out there again. So, I'm very disenchanted with what's going on in America. I never trusted JD Vance, and he's really shown his true colours in this last week. When he's walking out the door and saying he loves Pakistan, so the country that hid Osama bin Laden, the country that hid a lot of the Al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters when you were trying to fight them, that country, the same country that is a radical Islamic country that still has a democratically a leader in Imran Khan in prison. The same Imran Khan who played cricket against our Australian team for so long, the same Imran Khan who we all admired, was democratically elected and now is sitting in jail. In Pakistan, they did to Imran Khan what the left wanted to do to Trump in America. And yet, JD Vance thinks they're great. So I went over Qatar. We don't have to go around too much. But when you're cozying up to those sort of states, those sort of dictatorships, those totalitarian dictatorships, sorry, in my book, you've lost all credibility. there shouldn't be any. Trump said he wanted unconditional surrender. That was the right attitude. Once you take these bastards on, because they will rebuild. They don't care about. Trump keeps banging on about how he's destroyed his military. Well, they haven't. He's banged on about how they've destroyed their Air Force. They probably have. The air defense system, they probably have. They've done enormous damage to their missile capabilities and their nuclear capabilities. I've got no doubt about that. And I've got no doubt that they've done an enormous damage to their fleet. But they won't care. They're about to get billions, if not trillions, coming into their economy. Guess what they're going to spend it on? Replacing those planes, probably with better ones, replacing those ships, probably with better ones. They will rebuild their nuclear capabilities because the next administration coming in is either going to be a pathetic, woke right combination of independents who do nothing and just turn a blind eye to these countries, or it'll be the Democrats. So all Iran has to do is wait out Trump for 2 years. They'll do that in a heartbeat. They've been waiting out America for 47 years. I'll guarantee you what has happened is the starting gun has been shot for the race for the next terrorist attack in a Western nation. You can bet your bottom dollar they're going to want revenge for the what they see as the murder of not just the Ayatollah, but the next one as well. And all the generals, all the leaders, everyone they've taken out, they're going to want revenge. So you needed to take down this regime and replace it with a regime that was supported by the vast bulk of the Iranian citizenship. Only way you change Iran, and that you cut the snake off at the head. And they haven't done that. And someone is going to pay for this down the line. Could be in 10 years, 15 years, and 25 years. Someone's going to pay for it. So we'll see where that goes. So in the meantime, here we are in Australia. And bizarrely, I saw about Canavan just on the Bolt report before. So Pauline Hanson, in my book, was brilliant last week at the press club. And she came out with a simple term that any moron could understand. She said, we're not a multicultural country. Hallelujah. We've got a politician with that platform. She did say, very fairly, that we are a multiracial country, but we should have a monocultural approach to this country. So we basically embrace Australian culture, and you can keep all your links to your past countries or, ethnicity or race or whatever it is. But when you come in here, you embrace the Australian way of life and doing things. What's unfair about that? Perfectly fair. I think most everyday Australians are going to say, yeah, beautiful, we're in on that. But according to the ALP, that's not an acceptable position. That's a racist, bigoted position. According to the Liberals, they're the same. They're all in on multiculturalism, not monoculturalism. Matt Canavan came out and just attacked Hanson about the monoculture, and he had another name, common culture or something like that. Who cares? It's the same thing. If the wording is a big thing, sit down with One Nation, LNP, and figure out what you're going to call it. I think you're actually saying the exact same thing, but all you're in an argument about, and I don't know why the Liberal LNP are doing this, because it's just going to make sure their numbers go further into the toilet, but they're arguing over about the word monoculture. Well, if you don't like it, sit down with Pauline, take her out for lunch, figure it all out and say, what are you going to call it? I don't mind monoculture. How about Aussie culture? An Australian culture, that'd be nice. And so we've got them all whining and bitching and comparing them to Trump and calling Hanson, the same old things, racist, bigot, Nazi, what Hanson's been called for 30 years and all her supporters, and they think it's going to work. If it does work, Australia's in a lot of shit, because if that's all it needs to work, and Hanson's the only one I can see that's out there putting out legitimate policy ideas that could make this country better. Go to her website and read her policy page. I love it. There's a few things I'm not so keen, but most of it, I love it. And if she got in and implemented that platform, I'd be incredibly happy. incredibly happy. So if you're a conservative like me, you should be rolling in behind her. But what do? Here we go. Just like in America, we have our own woke right. We've got Senator Babette and we've got Jared Rennick, and these are king groypers. You know, they've got to make everything about Israel. They've got to make everything about Jews. They've got to make everything about Zionists. And Rennick, instead of joining forces and getting in behind One Nation and Pauline Hanson, as he's done ever since he's left the Liberals, he's attacking One Nation. And he's accusing Pauline of being, you know, a really original sledge, of being a puppet of Israel and the Zionist movement, or of Gina Reinhardt. Now, the hypocrisy of that, Jared Rennick just merged his People First party with another party that has links, it seems, and if I'm wrong here, I'm going by Drew Pavlo, and I don't agree with everything he says, by the way, but he did expose that the party that they're merging with now has links with at least the Chinese community, if not the CCP. Jared thinks that's okay. He's proud to announce that merger. But at the same time, if Jared, in whatever political party he's going to end up in, had Gina Reinhardt swinging in behind them with support, do you think Jared Rennick would knock that back? Do you think Senator Babette would knock that back? I mean, Senator Babette is only in there because of Clive Palmer's millions. It's the only reason he's there. He wouldn't have become even a candidate in most other political parties. And he's right down the woke right groyper movement thing. Just follow his feed. He tries to say he's a conservative. No, you're not. Neither's Jared Rennick. And, you know, they'll come at me if they hear this. I don't care. I mean, you know, I saw Jared Rennick where the March for Australia tried to shut him down. I offered him to come on the podcast to get his say. So I'm all for Jared having his say. But free speech is having a say and others to be able to be critical of that say. And he has the right to be critical of me if he wants to. Don't be wasting his breath. But Jared's pretty sharp. I've been on the receiving end of a bit of his criticism. I've been told I had to be deported out of the country, even though I'm a born and bred Aussie and I can trace my heritage right back to nearly the First Fleet. But apparently I can get deported. So anyway, Jared's out there and he's bagging them. So he would accept Gina Reinhardt's money in a heartbeat. And don't forget, Jared Rennick was part of the uni party system. He was a Liberal senator for God knows how long, and he did some bloody good work. I was a supporter of his. But then when he got out, and he got nasty when he got out. He had a vendetta. And he's had a vendetta against the Liberal Party, but he also has a vendetta against One Nation. And why? Because One Nation, he's jealous. They're doing what he wants to do. They're polling in high numbers politically in all the polls. And that's what Jared Rennick wanted for his People First party. But he's not getting it. One Nation is. He can't cope with that. Obviously very thin-skinned. So he's out bagging the crap out of them. But and having them a go about being part of the uni party system. Well, Jared, you were part of the uni party system. So, you know, the only reason you're not, don't tell me, Jared, that if you didn't get the correct number on the Senate ticket, which would have guaranteed you a pathway back into the Senate, that you still wouldn't be part of the uni party system. The only reason you set up your first thing is the Liberals put you in an unwinnable spot on the Senate seat ticket. You lost and you're pissed off. Now you're pissed off with Pauline. And when you get pissed off, mate, you've got a history of it. You lash out. And you're lashing out at Pauline, you're lashing out at supporters, you're lashing out at everyone. Maybe be part of the solution as opposed to the problem. I think had you, which won't happen now, had you actually sat down with Pauline and maybe joined forces, I don't know whether she would have accepted you, but you should have at least tried. You do have a brain for policy. You're whip smart, but, mate, you're too thin-skinned. And there's been plenty of people you've attacked over the journey, so don't try and say you're not. You know, grow a spine, take the criticism. God, I get enough of it. If I can take it, you can. You're at least, you know, you're right into the political mix. You made a good dollar out of sitting in that Senate gravy train seat. You know, it's a pretty cushy job. So anyway, that's your business, Jared. But how about you concentrate on your People First Party and you leave One Nation to their devices until the election, by all means, then get stuck in. But attack her on policy, not on personal insults. I'm a little bit sick of that. And the only one who's looking to establish policy and get on the front foot on a number of things, the Fire the Lie campaign, her little cartoon episodes, all those sorts of things, it's Pauline. She's putting out policy. She's at the press club. She's on the front foot. And she's got the whole political establishment and the Canberra Gallery from the media in real trouble. Excuse me here for a minute. Sorry, guys. I've got an important message I've got to take if it comes through. And yeah, no, it hasn't come through. Sorry, guys. I thought that was it just then. Nah, got this new phone. And with the messages, it sends you all these advertisements, and it just, my old phone never did that. You just got your messages and it sent off the sound. You'll hear them in the background. I do need to reply to it tonight. So if I have to get off, it'll just be like for probably 10, 15 seconds. And Senator Babette, I mean, I don't know. My point here is there is a lot of people, and I'll say this right now. Everyone's been arguing against the Uni Party. Everyone's been rallying against it. We all have been for years now. We've all been waiting. For me, I've been waiting for a party to emerge that is both conservative. One Nation ticks that box. A party that will do something about immigration. One Nation ticks that box. Maybe not to the extent that some would like. A party that is going to get rid of all this climate change bullshit. One Nation ticks that box. A party that will bring back coal-fired power. One Nation ticks that box. And there's a host of other policies that she's got in there that are just fantastic in what they could do for this country. So she's ticking an awful lot of boxes. But for a lot of people on the right, this is what Michael Knowles is going, because they don't tick all the boxes. They might not tick one box. They're not going to not only not get behind Pauline Hanson and One Nation, they're going to try and tear them down. And then they have the audacity to say they're Australian first. If you are not going to grab this opportunity to get rid and send a powerful message to both the ALP and the LNP, here's our chance to say it's us, the people, that decide who we want in government. We've never had this choice before. This is the first time it's presenting to us as a country and as a people and as a voting demographic that we finally have an alternative that we can vote and get into government. Now, it may cause a bit of chaos. Good. We're in chaos anyway. If you're not looking around, there's a lot of chaos happening on our streets, especially here in Melbourne. So, the big thing that One Nation's got to do is vet their candidates and get them out there. Now, that's a beef I've got here in Victoria, which I'll get to in a minute. But federally, there's an old sports saying. When, for example, Melbourne Footy Club have come from nowhere this year and they're in contention for a high spot in the finals. And there's a lot of teams that I've seen that have come from nowhere to win a title. And a lot of them have had this saying, if not now, when? And what that means is a window of opportunity sometimes only present once. And if you're not going to take that window of opportunity, when's the next time it's going to present itself? One Nation are presenting itself as an alternative government. And if people who are sick of the Uni Party and really want to be Australia first, that One Nation don't have to tick all your boxes. But if they tick the vast bulk of them, I'm telling you, not only should you get behind One Nation, you have a duty to this country to do so. You need to swing behind them, support them, and vote them into government. Put down your differences and get behind Pauline Hanson and One Nation. We have a chance to put Pauline Hanson in the Prime Minister's office, and we should grab it with both hands. And it's up to people like Barnaby Joyce and others around her to get the cabinet that she needs to be successful. If she doesn't, well, she'll lose power long after that. Maybe that might shake up, for example, the LNP. I don't think it will, but maybe what remains of the LNP will be conservative, because I hope this Teal party gets up, because all the moderates in the Liberal Party ranks will join it. And that might be the last saving grace for the LNP, that Teal party gets up and they can go full conservative. Andrew Hastie was out there going, well, if we're going to work, the only way you'll get him working with One Nation is by, I can't remember the exact words, carrying him out in a pine box or something stupid like that. Well, good, Andrew, get the hell out of the way. You're going to lose your seat anyway. You're a dead man walking in your seat. So good luck with whatever you got to do in the future. You're a genuine disappointment. You're a Turnbull acolyte. And we all thought you could have been the answer. And instead, you've let so many people down. So maybe, mate, just wander off into the sunset, enjoy your family, enjoy your new life, because you're not going to be in politics after 28. So, yeah, if not now, when? This is our time to do it. You've got a national duty to get behind One Nation, to vote out LLP, to put the LNP in their place and give the everyday person a voice in our parliament. And let's see how they go. Let's see how they go. What have we got to lose? They're going to pull us out of the UN. They're going to pull us out of the Paris Agreement. They're going to do so many great things for this country. It is about time. Read their policy platform. If you're a conservative, it's inexcusable. If you're just centre-right, it's inexcusable for you not to give your number one vote to One Nation this coming election. I'm going to give it to them in our state election as well. I do have concerns with the state group, and to Warren Pickering and Bianca can't say her name, long overdue that you got on this podcast. You said you both would, and so far I've yet to hear from you. Here we are on the verge of July, October, November, 2 months. And we don't even know who your leader is and who your candidates are. So while One Nation is kicking goals federally, state level, it's pretty grim, even though you're doing well in the polls. So I think you've missed the chance. I think if you haven't missed the chance, you're missing it. The window of opportunity only comes once, and you have a chance here to poll really well, get candidates in Parliament. You're doing it all on Pauline's coattails. It's not like you're driving it. We never see you guys. I never see you guys on anybody's podcast. I don't see you guys in the news. I don't see you making announcements. I don't see any new leaders like they had in the South Australia election. We keep getting assured you're vetting these 1,200 candidates. Well, you should have done that by now. They should have been being announced. State policy should be getting announced. So I don't think One Nation at state level is ready. I think federally they are. But I think they'll still poll strongly in the state election, because everyone's just sick to death of the two major parties. But I do think that I'm crossing fingers that the Liberal Party would get up. The only thing that could sabotage that is if the ALP were smart enough to convince Jacinta Allen to step down and put a much more acceptable candidate in a place. If they do that, I have fears that the ALP could get back up. So we'll see. What else was I going to talk about? There's been a lot to talk about. Talked about influence, talked about the state election, talked about the federal, talked about Trump and their politics. Oh, Keir Starmer, hallelujah. The Labor, whether it's in the UK or England, they're just so dumb. So Keir Starmer's finally stepped down. Everyone's talking about Albo stepping down. He won't step down because he's got the Rudd new system that'll protect his ass. So he'll see it through, and I want him to see it through. I want Albo to see through to 28 so we can vote the bastard out. Doesn't matter who's in that leading the ALP. They're going to be the ALP anyway. But we need Albo in 28 running, and I want to see him up against Pauline Hanson in the debates and whoever the Liberal Party have got leading them, which if they're being sensible, they'd probably keep Angus Taylor in there. He's on a mission impossible, but I think he's doing a half decent job, or as good a job as anybody could. Still critical of him in a lot of areas, but he's trying to balance moderates and conservatives and all that, which would be a tough gig. So you've got to be fair. But if he gets shafted, who's next? Andrew Hastie? Good luck, Liberals, then. You're going to get just absolutely annihilated. So what, Jane Hume? Oh, my God. The cupboard in the Liberal Party is pretty bare. So if I was a Liberal Party, they've got a very smart man in Abbott in charge. Just back Angus Taylor to the hilt and get him across the table from One Nation and start working together to give everyday Australians what they want, what they're pleading for. Oh, by the way, if One Nation get in, no more welcome to country, only one flag. And the Indigenous industry would have a very big review. So a bunch of other things to get behind them on. But Keir Starmer, he's gone. And what are the Labor doing over in England? They're looking to replace him with someone even more left than him. I mean, what are these guys? When are they going to get the message? You can't go down that way. So it's going to be interesting if this guy gets up. I can't remember his name. He's just won a by-election. Apparently he's worse than Keir Starmer. So I don't know. Labor, being Labor, you got to be just don't get it. So anyway, let's get into some social media. That's been a big enough rant for one day. And I might find something in here to rant about anyway. It's oh, excuse me. Now I'm yawning. It's been a long day. Let's see if we get that up. That might be a bit. There we go. In fact, I might pull the full page up, and we'll get on to bookmarks. Where is it? Where I've saved a few. I don't think I've saved a lot, but I've saved a few. Got a few to look at. How's this idiot? So in the FIFA World Cup, which I think has been fantastic, let's have a listen. They've had a bunch of fans who've been kicked out because they haven't had the right Iranian flag, or they've had some flag that's caused offence and all this sort of thing, and even like the closure wear. But they've got a guy in the band who's wearing the kafir scarf for the Palestinians. I mean, how can you have him wearing that if you're banning everything else, which is what they're pointing out there? Some of these sports organisations need a real kick in the arse, seriously. Listen to the Greens. You can tell when One Nation is over the target when the Greens start talking like this.
Seriously, Acting Deputy President, to use some pub vernacular, this country needs to wake the fuck up to what is going on.
Wash Wilson, that's what Pauline Hanson's got them resorting to. That sort of language in Parliament.
Sphere of social media.
Senator Wish Wilson, could you please...
And what a gay name, Wish Wilson. I mean, God, imagine, he must have got bullied at school. I mean, Senator Wish Wilson. I don't know why he's got that name.
The use of that term, please.
I'll withdraw that use of pub vernacular, Acting Deputy President. But my point is very serious. If we don't do something about this cancer, it will kill our democracy in the years ahead.
And how is One Nation going to kill the democracy? I mean, Pauline Hanson is the person that was sent to jail because she was a threat to the establishment. She's participating in a democracy. I mean, what evidence do they have for these outlandish claims? And why aren't the media all over it? I mean, Hanson is participating in the democratic process far more than the Greens do. So how's she going to destroy it?
And the anger that One Nation are appealing to is the algorithm and social...
There it is. So people like you and me, everyday Australians that are just fed up with these parties, these major parties or these establishment parties, which the Greens are, apparently our anger is an algorithm.
But what we saw last week from Senator Hanson is that Senator Hanson and One Nation, Senator Hanson, make no mistake, this position by Senator Hanson and by One Nation, and while One Nation and Senator Hanson...
Well, I love Australia. But Senator Pauline Hanson, well, she hates
She loves Australia.
Pauline Hanson.
How does Pauline Hanson hate Australia? She stands in front of one flag, you silly fat bitch. You stand in front of all three. By the way, shout out to Australians versus the Agenda. They put out some great stuff from Parliament. If you don't give them a follow, you should.
One Nation are not patriots. Pauline Hanson and One Nation.
This bitch would sell us out to China and any communist country in a heartbeat. And she accuses someone else of not being a patriot. I hope they get so wiped out in 28.
Pauline Hanson and One Nation are vandals.
The hypocrisy is incredible. They call Pauline Hanson and them vandals. The Greens push the climate change agenda, which has vandalised our energy system, vandalised our forest, vandalised farms, vandalised the economy, but they want to say One Nation, and their supporters are vandals.
Dangerous rise behind the slogans and grievance of One Nation. One Nation has shown hostility. One Nation opposes it all. One Nation, but One Nation, no matter what they tell people back in their electorates.
One Nation.
He's back. They talk more about they're talking more about One Nation than Tucker Carlson talks about Israel, and that's quite some achievement. They are losing their minds. Well done to Senator Hanson. There's a few I saved. Believe it or not, World War II, but probably better days. Great generation. We will never see it again. Got a few there on posts. Just couldn't be bothered. Don't want to really share JD Vance. He was on The View. Yeah, no. And that stuff I shared from last week. Let's go into my homepage. Sorry, guys, usually I would get on beforehand. I haven't had a chance today. And go through my feed and save stuff. The video of 2 Sydney nurses threatening Jewish parents has been thrown out. This was amazing. This was in the court today. Not because the threats were found to be false, because the nurses allegedly didn't know they were being recorded. Ha! Right. Our legal system, I was saying the other day, in Victoria, and this would be similar in other states, it's only a very small minority that are the magistrates and judges. In Victoria, we have, I think, 221. I did a Google search on this today, and that included all the magistrates, all the judges in Victoria. So you probably have similar numbers in Queensland and in Sydney, and then you would have more in less numbers in West Australia, South Australia, Tasmania. So we're probably looking around 1,000 out of 28 million people, and yet they dictate so much of how we live our lives. It's crazy. Nobody on there. I haven't seen this one. This is Drew. I have lots of issues with Drew in different ways, but nobody on the Australian right should be talking about banning abortion. The left desperately wants you to campaign on this issue because it will destroy the right. There will seriously be a landslide to the left if you try this. How do you know, Drew? Well, I think one thing Hanson has said is she is going to ban abortion after a certain number of weeks, but so be it. I mean, I think it's actually, no one's ever tried, so Drew wouldn't know. But I think there'd be a far more powerful argument to protect life than to destroy it. And I think it's a debate that we should be having. But everyone like Drew doesn't want to have the debate. So I'm not a big fan of Ozpill, but resurrecting this dead issue, what's he got to say? To activate women against the right at this existential moment in immigration fight needs to be shut down. Recent polling has One Nation around 31% of the primary vote, with immigration being the single thing. So let's see what Ozpill's got to say. Like I said, I don't agree with him a lot, but I'm
Why
curious
is One
about
Nation debating abortion or even talking about banning abortion entirely? I'm not the biggest One Nation supporter, I get that, but
One Nation haven't said they're going to ban abortion entirely. That's wrong. They were asked about this at the press club, and this is late-term abortions they're talking about, not banning abortion, and especially not banning abortion where the mother's life's at risk.
But I am a right-wing person, and I recognise that One Nation is the vehicle through which Australia will become more right-wing, particularly on the issue of immigration, which the vast majority of Australians, including myself, want strongly reduced.
Well, he's far right, but at least he's swinging in behind. I mean, they're going to need every vote they can get. And we've all got to put down our arrows, our things, and get, like I said before, if not now, when?
Stark contrast, the vast majority of Australians don't care about abortion, or frankly, they want people to have access to it, or they don't see it as a debate worth having. Certainly not nearly as many Australians as those who want immigration to basically end. So why is One Nation, why are there senators like Malcolm Roberts or people around it like Joanna Howe trying to shoehorn abortion into this? One Nation isn't popular because Australians are suddenly like, oh, we have to ban abortion. One Nation's popular because, for example, the Indian population in Australia has more than doubled in the last 10 years. That's why that party is the most popular party in the country right now. Australians are sick of immigration. Now, you might be thinking like, okay, why do you care? You don't really like the party. One Nation's just shooting themselves in the foot. What does it matter to you? Well, it matters to me because this is becoming the defining left versus right issue in Australia. The left is not going to debate One Nation on immigration. We saw the Get Up little stunt they did at the press conference. They didn't even mention racism or immigration or divisiveness. They just mentioned like her salary. That's because the left knows that calling Pauline Hanson a racist or an anti-immigration, whatever, will just make her even more popular. That's how Australians are feeling. So they will define it in other ways, economic or, for example, on abortion. And it's working. We consume a lot of left-wing content, we analyse a lot of left-wing trends, and we're noticing they're not so much calling Pauline Hanson the racist or whatever anymore. They're calling her a sexist and her party to be anti-abortion, anti-women's rights. And that's actually how they're defining the entire right wing. Australia's in a very interesting position where women are voting for One Nation, voting for their rights.
The old anti-women's rights in relation to abortion, I think it's a debate or an argument that can be easily dispelled. So I find this actually quite interesting because I do think this is a debate that we need to have, and not necessarily to ban abortion, but try and find alternatives to it. And we don't do that at the moment. If a baby comes along and it's inconvenience, it's automatically murdered. And that's what abortion is. It's murder. It's not women's health. And they talk about women's right. What about the right of the female baby in the womb? Surely it's got a right to life too. It doesn't need to have female rights. All those babies have rights. They have human rights. They're humans inside the womb. If left alone, would lead potentially wonderful lives.
Nearly as much or more than men are, according to many polls. And that's very unusual because in places like America and across Europe, the left is sort of characterized by its appeal to women, and that bifurcation is largely attributable to the issue of abortion that's being debated in those places. We don't need to have that debate right now. And if we do, the right in Australia will become in part defined by it thanks to the left, and it will split up this current amazing mandate that One Nation or the anti-immigration sentiment is being given in Australia. And throughout this entire discussion, I haven't given a pro or anti-abortion opinion. I've just simply said from the pragmatic right-wing point of view, it is absolutely not a debate that is worth having. And frankly, anyone who's trying to have that debate and shoehorn it into the right is tantamount to sabotage, because myself and other activists who...
Hold on. Sabotage. This guy represents the far right. He represents the NSN, or what was the NSN. He has radical theories about immigration and deportation, which is fine. He's allowed to have those. But if anything was going to sabotage One Nation, it's like one of his mates the other day who got arrested, who said he was part of, the White Australia policy, and was supporting One Nation. You want to sabotage One Nation, that will sabotage them far quicker than any abortion.
Brought immigration right to the forefront of Australian politics, such that it's a defining issue. It spits in the face of all that work if these people come in at the last minute and try and say, hey, an abortion, what about abortion? Get out. Anyways, what's your...
Well, that's a bit hypocritical by Ozpill. And like I said, I don't agree with him on a lot. And it's also hypocritical of Drew. So, if you want lower immigration rates, we've also got to get our birth rates up. So, everyone's for, like Ozpill, he's for a White Australia. Well, since the 70s, White Australia has been aborting generations of children. I can't remember the stat, but it was something like 60% of Gen X had been aborted. And people are wondering why white numbers are decreasing in this country. We're killing them. If you're so for White Australia, maybe start convincing white men to step up to their responsibilities as fathers. Maybe convince white females to step up to their responsibilities as a mother. Maybe put their sexual gratification to one side when it results in the involvement of a child in the womb. The answer is not abortion. And, you know, in what they call third world countries, they do not abort their kids. Indians do not abort their kids. Islamic families do not abort their kids. Love them or hate them, and whether that's for the right or wrong reasons, they do not abort their children. And their numbers are going up. And even in China, they used to have the one-child policy. They've actually relaxed that because their birth rate was going down. We are killing ourselves as a Western society because birth rates across every Western nation, because to have a child is too much of an inconvenience. You know, this doesn't apply to everyone, but our birth rate, you look through history, and if your birth rate drops below a certain level, your civilization dies off. We are perilously close to that. So I'm not too sure what else Pill's saying. Is he saying, he says he doesn't want mass immigration, or he certainly wants to keep, in his mind, a white majority. Fair enough. You know, he's allowed to have that opinion in my book. But if you want a white majority, how do you get there if you're murdering the whites in the womb? So he's got a bit of a double standard argument. I'd like for him to come back to me on that. Maybe Ben from Australian Talk can get him onto the show. We can debate it. We'll see. What else have we got? Journalists. These journalists that they keep talking about from Gaza, they're not journalists. They're activists. There you go. So when they kill a journalist in Gaza, it's probably because he was fighting for Hamas. Not too sure about Carl. Aussies are declaring Carl Stefanovic has lost the plot in the lead up to the Today's Stars as he promotes his most controversial podcast. And how is that? I don't get how that's controversial. Tommy Robinson is a person of interest. At least Carl Stefanovic will interview him, unlike Piers Morgan. I don't agree with everything that Carl's doing. I don't trust it because of how he behaved throughout COVID-19. But good on him for interviewing Tommy Robinson. You know, so we'll see where that goes to. Here we go. This is the thing from Jesse Peters.
Dana is right. The Jewish question is going to be a situation with this deal. The Jewish question is going to be a situation with this deal because the population of Israel, they want Netanyahu.
If you said that in Australia right now on national TV, you would get charged with some hate speech laws thing. No doubt. You can't say those words. He's very lucky he's in America.
Hard in Lebanon. And he's getting probably trounced if he doesn't go hard. He's up for re-election. And the Iranians know that. So anytime they want to try to rupture our alliance with Israel, they push a button, a rocket comes out of Beirut.
A few moments later.
But you're not also supposed to say Jews instead of Israel. They're separate things.
The Israeli Jews.
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person?
Vance sent a warning to the Jews. He said, watch out. Trump's your daddy, too.
You're a stupid person.
Just say Israel. Okay. No, I'm just giving you some. I'm giving you some Jew advice. Okay. Don't conflate those things.
Okay, now do Flatner.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Greg Gutfield, Jesse Waters. I like their shows. Listen to them often, but that's wrong. And good on Jessica, I can't remember her surname, for calling him out. And I don't agree with her on virtually anything. But she was very right to call him out on that. And sorry, I know I copped some flack for this. I lose followers. I don't particularly care. I'm not on here for the clicks or the followers. But you just historically, if you know what the Jewish question refers to, and I've got no doubt Jesse would know it. Yeah, that's just not on. Sorry, it's like the N-word for the Africans. You just can't say that. And it is offensive. So, and I'm not big, on offensive words, but the Jewish question is very offensive if you know its historical context. So, Like I said, he's lucky he lives in America. Let's get back to it. Sorry, I didn't have that on a full screen, guys. Do a couple more. But, yeah, stupid is not the word. He's the real issue, and this is why we shouldn't be negotiating with these bastards.
We don't say that Islam is here to live, to coexist with lots of different religions and all of us can just hold hands and be friends. This religion was sent to dominate the world. It was sent to be superior, to extinguish the light of every other religion and to be superior to it. We're not shy to say it, and we don't find that to be something that we should be shy to say, that this religion has been sent to dominate, to wipe out, to take out every other religion, to eclipse it, to be superior to it, to have the people leave every religion and to accept Islam. And if that requires fighting to achieve it, then it requires fighting to achieve it. Because the greatest purpose for which jihad was legislated is to make the word of Allah the highest and the word of those who disbelieve the lowest.
So, this is why you can't negotiate with them. Don't tell me that people, the main people in Iran, don't have the same attitude that he does. Don't tell me that the same people in a lot of our mosques in this country do not have the same attitude that he does. But J.D. Vance and Trump are both saying how great they are. Trump came out and said it. He's a big admirer of the ex-Al-Qaeda guy who's running Iran, running Syria now. Said they need to go into Lebanon to sort out the problem there with Hezbollah because the Israelis can't do it. Kind of ridiculous. In Syria, there are gangs of his troops going around and murdering Christians. Whew. Don't believe that. Get my mate Amir from an Assyrian Christian. He was the victim of one of those gangs. So insane. This is where the American politicians are leading us. What else we got? Is that a couple? What the hell is this? Yeah. They're crazy people. So, maybe I shouldn't share it. It's what's this? Let's have a look.
That's why I'm announcing tonight that my government will pursue a new, formal, long-term partnership between Victoria and Israel's leading hospitals. Victoria's institutions have some smaller scale partnerships right now. These lay the foundations for us, including with Sheba Medical Centre, as an agreement that our Deputy Premier signed when in Israel. I look to the future and look to building something bigger and more enduring, and will work with the Commonwealth Government to make this happen. And I want this new partnership to focus on the areas where we can learn from one another, combining Victoria's world-class medical research with that great, strong Israeli innovation, and bring life-saving developments.
I'm not too sure what the Australian versus the agenda again. Like I say, they put some good stuff out there. They do have a bit of a leaning. That's Lozzie B. Shared that. I like some of her stuff, but she's pretty much an anti-Semite. I don't see that there's a problem with that. The Israeli people are very smart people, and on medicine, they're very good. I'd rather be sharing ideas and research with them than, say, again, India. So I think they've got a far better track record in the medical sphere than what a lot of other countries would. So I don't see that that's a big issue. What else? Here we go. Tim Jones, shout out to you, Timmy. You think Andrew would put his energy into attacking Labor? Spot on. Liberal MP Andrew Hastie has told party colleagues he would never surrender to One Nation as the coalition faced an electoral wipeout at the hands of Pauline Hanson's party. Mr. Hastie made the remarks after Liberal MP Andrew Wallace raised concerns in the party room about the increasingly heated tone of political debate. That's in the Australian, so that will have a password protected page to it, but get the gist of it. Andrew Hastie says he'd rather be taken out in a box, and when you're in politics, that's probably a dangerous thing to say, than bow to One Nation. Senior Liberal Andrew Hastie has vowed never to bend the knee to One Nation, warning the coalition would do them slowly, despite Pauline, well, come up with your own line, that's a Paul Keating line, despite Pauline Hanson's rise in the polls. Well, Andrew, you've got no chance, mate. You just should concentrate on your own seat. Hastie, mate, you did your dash when you helped vote through those hate speech laws after you told everybody you weren't going to do it, and you did it anyway. And you lost the complete trust of everyone who was backing you. And since then, you've been a great disappointment. And, mate, in 2 years' time, you're not going to get these polls back. And maybe if they have that Teals party, you can join them, because I think, you obviously like Malcolm Turnbull a lot, which has been a revelation. Go join his party, because Turnbull will be right into that party. So bending the knee. Pauline has said on several occasions she wants to work with the Liberals to get rid of this ALP government. They should be grabbing that hand and taking advantage of it. I just don't understand what they're trying to achieve. Here we go. Breaking. Iran is arresting thousands of civilian dissidents. According to reports, more than 3,000 were arrested in the last few hours on charges of collaborating with the enemy and face penalties punishable by death. Where is the world's outrage? Well, if that's happening, Trump's presidency is a disaster. If that's what's going on, Trump's presidency will not be remembered for the things it should be. Great pity. But you can't throw people under a bus like this by starting a fight you're not going to finish. Let's go on this, my favourite, JD Vance's network. Let's have a look. I'll open this image. Here we go. We'll share this. That might be a bit easier to read. And sorry, guys. We'll make this a bit better. Or maybe we don't. We'll do it that way. So the JD Vance Network. So I need the glass on. Peter Thiel, founder of Palantir, CI and IDF contractor, donated $15 million to Vance's campaign. Longtime mentor to Vance. Funded Vance's venture fund, Nora Capital, employed Vance at Mitchell Capital. So he has a bit of thing. Then you got Tucker Carlson. Don't know who this one is. Rebecca Mercer, co-founded 1789 Capital, key figure in, every politician over in America got these backers. Marcus Anderson, Silicon Valley billionaire, mentored by Peter Thiel, invested at Nara Capital, repeatedly co-invested with Thiel. There we go. David from neoconservative writer, early mentor to Vance. Vance published pro-Iraq war pieces for his website, speechwriter. Interesting. The fact that he's got, for me, the fact that he's got Tucker Carlson in that network is of great concern. People have issues with Peter Thiel too. I'm not too sure what that was. I don't know him well enough to be worrying about that. But anyway. We'll try one more. Oh. Not a lot on there. God, what's going on? Trump is the new Ayatollah. Let's have a listen. Come on. This is sorry, guys. I think I've lost my share part. Let's try and get that back. There we go. Did too. Don't know how I did that. And there we go. I'll get that up and do it properly. Bit of fun to finish off with. Oh, Trump.
Assalamu alaikum, bitches. This is your new Ayatollah speaking. Well, if you think about it, I'm more like your new I told you. Because I told you this would happen if you kept fucking around instead of taking JD's deal. My first order of business as your new I told you will be to take over the Strait of Hormuz and to bring back bikinis to Iran. We're going to have big, beautiful beach parties all along the coast with delicious margaritas and sexy mamacitas. Anyway, we're the captains now, bitches. America is back, bigger, stronger, and hotter than ever before. Believe me. Assalamu alaikum, bitches.
I wish I could believe it, though. I sadly don't. But anyway, what can you do? Let's go. Whoops. God, I've got to get better at this. Oh, my God. Does that get me back? Yes, it does. Producer, presenter, whatever. On the cheap is what it is. So that'll do me for tonight. We'll be back bigger and better hopefully next week. So all I can say, if you're a Catholic or a Christian like me, put this country, put Western society in your prayers. I think in Australia we're coming out of it. I hope that's where we're going. I'm not too sure in America and the UK they are. I do have concerns for Western society going forward. We'll see where that takes us. I was watching a thing today. Can't remember where it was on, but basically it was a UK expert on the politics, and he's saying they're increasingly heading towards a civil war. I just wonder whether this, and Ben from Australian Talk says that's where it's going in the United States. I hope that's not the case. The last thing we need is that sort of stuff, but, who knows? So put Western civilization and this country in your prayers, because we need God getting into people's heads instead of the devil. And I think the devil's holding sway at the moment in a lot of places. So I know one place is not. That's my boy there. So from me and my boy, God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. And God bless, I've got to get right, that flag. I'll see you next week. Good night, everyone, from me and JJ.